We are smack bang in summer season. I've got peas growing, I've got all the summer vibes, so I thought I'd make something summer vibey for you. So this dish is brown butter, pea and burrata gnocchi, and it is super simple. It's a celebration of summer and it's really fresh. It has rocket leaves, it has basil, and most importantly, it has that brown butter gnocchi, which is spectacular. I have my floury potatoes, which I've baked off in the oven. I've got them nice and dry. I've riced them. I've got them to the stage where they are ready to rock and roll. So we're going to add some pasta flour to this. We're going to add an egg. We're going to add some Parmesan cheese, a little bit of salt and pepper, and make up our gnocchi dough. So get off the counter and let's go. So flour goes in. Now you can use any flour you fancy, but tipo 00 is always good when you're making a beautiful pasta. I'm going to season it generously with some salt and some black pepper, which I've just freshly ground. The beauty of this recipe, now you can do this with store-bought gnocchi if you want to, but the beauty of doing it like this is that you can infuse your dough with whatever you fancy. If you had some spinach, you could add it in there. If you had any herbs, it would be lovely in there as well. But I'm keeping this quite plain. I'm gonna add some Parmesan cheese in here as well. It'll add a saltiness, it'll add a creaminess, and it will really bring together a dough which is just so wonderful when you make it fresh. I do love store-bought gnocchi. It is one of my go-to kitchen ingredients. But the idea of having your own when you have the time, it's spectacular, and it really is different to the stuff you get in the supermarket. So I've got about, I'm going to say about 50 grams of grated Parmesan cheese here. You could use pecorino if you wanted. Any kind of salty hit is what you're after here. And then I'm going to give this all a good mix up, and then we're going to add in our egg. Okay, egg is in, and at this point now the dough starts to look a little bit wet, so it's at this point you probably want to get your hands in and feel the texture of what we're dealing with. You want this dough to be light and fresh and airy, so I'm really just kneading this as little as physically possible to bring it together. And when it is together, the beauty is that this cooks really quickly. So once we get it into shape, I'm going to pop it in some boiling water, get it into the frying pan, and pan fry this gnocchi. Now, the thing about a recipe, and particularly with pasta or any dough like this is looking a little dry to me. So I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of water and loosen it out. It only needs about a teaspoon or just under a tablespoon. Just add that in and you'll get the moisture. So sometimes if your egg is a little small on the small side, or if you've got too much flour in there, it's just about finding the balance and having the confidence to know that you can correct it if it looks a little dry. So this is pretty much where it needs to be. We've got a nice kind of dough. It's got the Parmesan, it's got black pepper, all those lovely things. Like I said, if you had some cooked spinach, finely chopped, you could put it through and you get this gorgeous green throughout. But for me, that is all we need. So I'm gonna slice it in half, we're gonna shape it, and we're gonna get our gnocchi pieces into the boiling water. This gnocchi is one of my favorite recipes to make because it's really unfussy in terms of a shape to make. You basically make it into this long roll, and then using a sharp knife, you're just going to slice it into these beautiful little pillows. Have a look at that. Really simple little pillows, and they just pop straight into the water. There's a million versions of this you could do. You could fold it on your foot. Definitely don't fold the gnocchi on your foot. You can press it with your thumb. You can roll it on one of those little gnocchi boards, or you can even use just a fork. Sometimes it's a nice way to finish it, but if you take a fork and just put the prongs in like that, it kind of adds a little texture to it and allows something for any pasta sauce to soak. But because we are not using any major sauce here, I'm going to pop these straight into the water, straight into the pan, and then get them really glorious and toasted with some nutty brown butter. So I'm going to rock through the rest of this. Really simple, about a centimetre of your gnocchi pillows, and this goes straight into the boiling salted water. And just toss them a little bit in that flour, and then this is going to go straight into that boiling water. It's a very satisfying job to do in the kitchen, pasta making or anything with kind of dough like this, and one that is actually quite fun to do with the kids if you have the time and the patience, but not today. Salt up your water, and then I'm going to take a lot of our gnocchi straight onto a little spider like this and gently lower it into our water. The great way of knowing that your gnocchi is cooked is that technically it should rise to the top. So don't even set a timer, keep your eye on it, and as soon as it starts to rise to the top, your gnocchi should be done. Gnocchi has come to the surface. I'm going to swap my pans. I feel like everyone has that thing with their cookers where one hob top is more powerful than the rest, so mine is up here. And I'm going to get some butter into our pan and we're going to get that nicely foaming. And the trick here is to get your butter to a stage where it starts to kind of foam and become nutty and golden. And then all we're going to do is transfer that beautiful gnocchi with a little bit of its water straight into the butter, fry it off alongside some peas, which have now, I actually have frozen peas because my garden hasn't necessarily started growing the peas yet. But the frozen peas have thawed, so all they're going to need is a tossing through to heat them in the butter with the gnocchi, and that is basically the bones of this very simple dish. So, butter's melted, let's get the gnocchi in. This is why I always say you need to like cook with your eyes and your ears, because this is the stage where you want your butter. Your butter is no longer like sizzling, it's starting to foam, and when it's at the foaming stage, it's when we want to take this beautiful gnocchi straight across, it's come to the surface, and we're going to pop it straight into that foaming butter. Oh yes! Listen to that. If you ain't got no sizzle, you ain't got no gnocchi. Right, give them a quick toss. Beautiful. And they just need a minute or two in that heat. Allow that surface contact. We're going to give it a tiny touch of salt and pepper. And I really want to get that great color underneath, so don't touch them at this point. Leave them the moment to kind of sit. Salt and pepper. And when it's got the color, we're going to finish it off with our peas in here. Good things are happening. Give it a toss and come on in here and have a look, because this is what we're after. What are you doing over there? Get back over here. Look at that. Beautiful golden brown. That is where the flavor's at. You can boil gnocchi and it's soft and pillowy, but add it to nutty brown butter and you have something that is truly special. Now, because it has that little bit of color on it, I don't want to overcook it. We're going to add in some of our peas. Beautiful summery vibes. We've got our peas going in. Gonna add a little squeeze of lemon juice. This is the kind of food that sort of evolves as you're cooking. So if you've got good things happening here, I'm feeling like it needs to be fed with a little bit of basil. I feel like we could add in a drizzle of some olive oil. I want to give it a little toss. Ah, come on! While it's in the pan and everyone's getting to know each other, we're going to get in there with some Parmesan Reggiano, which is the real good stuff, and it's the only stuff you really need here. We're going to add a tiny touch of, because of course we don't have enough butter in there, a little knob of butter. And now it's just a case of making everyone make love to each other. To be honest, this is pretty much done. There's a whole myriad of things you can add here, but I love the fact that it's gnocchi. Peas, you could add a dollop of pesto, you could add some mascarpone cream cheese, you could add a million different things, but the simplicity is what I'm going to celebrate here. So we're going to turn off the heat and get this plated up. Oh, this is what it's all about. That creamy burrata paired with fresh summer peas. Well, these are frozen ones, but we've got some beautiful homemade gnocchi. I'm just going to stop talking now and dive in. Yeah. So good. It's honestly a real celebration of summer, of spring, of those fresh flavors that after a load of dark months through winter, this is the kind of food I look forward to. Needs another little squeeze of lemon, which I'm going to go and get. But for now, this is absolutely spectacular. And I hope you will try this very simple recipe. Absolutely delicious.